Bernie Sanders turf
In
war.
short, it's being fought on Democratic turf.
My head's good. You won't even go to me.
We've got a ton of polls coming up, and I can't wait to go to them. But because, man, I mean, I didn't think that Iowa was going to have this much of an influence on the polls. Should we go to the polls now?
Donnie is bursting at the seams of his pink suit right now.
What
do you got, Donnie? Go ahead.
I was watching a grown-up
wear pink
and an ideologue, okay? Guess what? Hillary is running for president, okay?
Right.
And the president of this country actually is going to have a relationship with Wall Street, all right? We're in a grown-up world here, okay?
Right.
One guy's solution to foreign affairs.
Wait, Donnie, should you really say we're in a grown-up world when you're wearing that suit in February?
Yes, I can. Okay, but this is, I'm so confident in my opinions that I can wear this suit.
Sometimes you can be too confident.
Okay,
but go ahead.
Here was what I saw in Bernie Sanders, like, break up the banks, break up Wall Street, I didn't vote for ISIS, and everybody should go to college. And on the other side, I saw a grown-up, a potential commander-in-chief. And guess what? Maybe to the left wing of this party in a few primaries it won't work, but if you want to get elected president in this country, and you want this country to work, you need Main Street and you need Wall Street. This is the world we live in. Can we grow up already?
So you're saying it's all okay,
and you know what? She gave some speeches to Goldman Sachs, and you know, you're on the speaker's circuit.
Donnie, the question was...
guys, this is not what this country is all about. If she gave a few speeches...
Donnie,
let us see the speeches.
I have never given a speech in front of a Kiwanis club or a university or anywhere else where you couldn't release the transcripts and I could explain everything. The bigger problem, John Heilman, here is she can't release the transcripts from Goldman Sachs because the executives of Goldman Sachs came out glowing saying, finally, we have somebody who understands that we've been misunderstood through this entire banking crisis. And as Ezra Klein said, the reason Clinton doesn't have a good answer on her Goldman Sachs speaking fees is there isn't a good answer aside from, I wanted money, and not only in her pocket, John Heilman, but for the campaign as well. The Clintons have used Wall Street as a cash register for 25 years now.
Right, and I think, you know, the problem for, I mean, Joe, what the Clinton campaign and what Secretary Clinton want to say is, look, you can't point to bribes. You can't point to quid pro quos. You can't point to significant policies where I caved on Wall Street. You know, I'm in favor of Dodd-Frank. That reformed Wall Street. And it's fair enough that she makes that point, actually, I think. The problem for her is that if you ask the question, why were you paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, and why did you keep doing these things in the context of knowing you were going to run for president, and that it might create an appearance of impropriety, for sure, at a minimum, the only possible answer is, because I wanted the money. And so it doesn't actually point to corruption. It just points to greed. And for a lot of, you know, and again, there's nothing wrong with making money, but she made an awful lot of it. And the fact is that the speeches that she gave, I don't know that there's anything incriminating in those transcripts, but it would become clear pretty quickly if you read them that the speeches she's given are probably not that much better than the speech that a lot of people could have given to that same group. And so the question becomes, well, what were they getting besides the speech? It just begs more and more questions. And that's why Sanders on this issue has painted her so effectively into a corner.
Willie Geist, George Stephanopoulos said it best. What did they buy? They bought access.
Right.
We'll see if she releases those now. I mean, there's going to be pressure on her after that question from Chuck last night to put that out, that speech out perhaps today. We'll see what she does. Let's get John Meacham into the conversation. John, the underlying theme of last night, Hillary said very strongly and pretty effectively, I thought, was Bernie Sanders, yes, maybe he's a little more progressive, but he's living in a progressive fantasy land. He wants to create a utopia. Let's get real, guys. These things don't exist. They're nice on paper, but they're not going to happen once you get into the White House and start negotiating with Paul Ryan and other people. Do you think she made that point effectively? Maybe it doesn't let her win New Hampshire because he's got such a big lead in most polls. But going forward, as we move down to South Carolina and Nevada, that she can say, I'm the pragmatic, I'm the realistic one. I know you like his ideas. I know you like the enthusiasm he brings to those ideas, but it's not going to happen in reality.
Yes, I mean, I think she won the pragmatic argument. Do you want an FDR story this early, or do you want me to wait?
I would, but only if it is so obscure that we will pass out in our oatmeal halfway through it. Go ahead.
Rebellion.
Right. I want Mika to sort of pop a no-dose for a second, because this is going to be good.
Okay.
In the 1930s, a young radical group came to a meeting at the White House to meet with President Roosevelt in the New Deal. they were frustrated because there wasn't change happening rapidly enough. FDR said to a young questioner, "Young man, if I thought I could get what I wanted by shouting from the rooftops, I would shout from the rooftops." But it's a different world. And so this is an ancient political trope. I think that Secretary Clinton probably wins on the rational side, but it's unquestionable to my mind that Sanders is winning on the emotional side. And to go to something that John just said, you know, this is, as he said, this is not about quid pro quos. He's winning the emotional argument that this is an ambient culture in which insiders do well by getting along with one another.
Yes.
And so when Sanders shifts to the generic argument about the oil companies or the pharmaceutical companies, he's winning that argument. And in some ways, the subtleties of the culture of which the Clintons have been a part forever, in which so many other political figures have been a part,
Well, the Bush and the
is
Clintons.
Well,
exactly.
I mean,
is the reason
it's
that he's
a
doing
Bush,
so well.
It's the Bush and the Clintons, and the fact is, when Bernie Sanders speaks, it's not just left-wingers who are saying, I agree with this.
it's everybody.
I agree. The system's rigged.
Yeah.
K Street and Wall Street have worked together to make sure that the rich get richer, to make sure that they make extraordinary money on capital they already have, that they make a lot more money just moving paper around
Yeah.
in their little 0.1% of the world than 80% of the rest of Americans make working their tails off
then he
every day.
ties it to
And by the
criminal
way,
justice.
let me just say, the most offensive part about this is when somebody says that, they're accused of being a populist who's demagoguing.
A crazy,
No,
yeah.
no. These are the numbers. These are the numbers of the past 25 years.
Right.
And if we want to know why Jeb Bush is doing so poorly on the Republican side and why Hillary Clinton is struggling on the Democratic side, fair or not, they represent the system under which the rich have gotten richer and the poor have gotten poor. And yes, Donnie, I know a lot of Republicans that would say, break up the banks. Stop this nonsense. Do what you can to stop the rich from getting richer and the poor from getting poor at meteoric rates. And by the way, do it while respecting capitalism. I'll say we do it for the reason Alan Greenspan says we do it, to save capitalism from itself. They say, I'm not endorsing Bernie Sanders. You can have a market-oriented approach to this. But just because I'm a conservative doesn't mean that I have to support 5 banks controlling most of the money in America.
Let's talk about capitalism. If you break down any industry, the communications industry,
Right.
pharmaceutical industry, all these bad big business, we have lived in a world of consolidation. Who sits judge and jury and say, you know what, 5 media companies is too small?
You're old enough like me to remember when the Bells got broken up.
Okay.
My God, look what happened now. It's broken up, and people can go around on the internet and move from one company to another company. That's a pretty good idea. I think community banks getting torn to shreds over the past 25, 30 years of consolidation, a bad thing. People are put last.
Yep.
Profits are put first. You can be a free market, right-wing, small government conservative.
You sound like a Bernie
and
Sanders
believe that.
guy.
No, I
You know what?
don't.
It was a great debate.
And by the way, Willie, people that don't understand why Trump is doing so well is because whether he enunciates this well or not, he gets to the point. Like New Hampshire's home field territory for him, because people in New Hampshire, more than anybody else over the past 30 years, have been torn to shreds by this. Their factories have moved overseas, and the rich have gotten richer.
This has been their reality.
Donald Trump is not part of this establishment.
Yes. They're just
That's
saying-
what I love. Donald Trump is outside of this establishment.
Hold on,
You
Donnie.
know what's great? Donald
Willie.
Trump is not part of this establishment.
Not part of this capitalistic establishment.
Donald
he,
Trump.
he is not.
Donald Trump is
garnished the wins. that
Oh,
all
come
the-
on! You live in Manhattan.
No, I live near Donald Trump.
I know
I am
you
so
do.
tired of Donald. I love Donald, but Donald's not
Listen,
outside
hey,
this
let's
universe.
let's not yell about this. The fact of the matter is, you and I both know Lloyd Blankfein, who I know and I like, and Jamie Dimon, who I know and I like, and I consider these guys friends. These guys run in a different circle than Donald Trump, who I know and I like. A completely different circle. So let's not pretend. By the way, the difference, Willie, between Hillary and Donald Trump is Hillary needs their money. Donald Trump doesn't. Bernie Sanders doesn't. That is a powerful message in 2016.
Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump are saying the same thing. You all are getting a raw deal. They're just saying it differently. Bernie's saying it's because of Wall Street, break up the banks. Trump's saying it's because the jobs have left the country, and it's because of China, and it's because of immigration. What I found astounding last night, and I thought Hillary was very strong last night, but when she said she's not a part of the establishment.
She is the establishment.
It's an amazing thing to say out loud.
How can
Using
you
the woman
say
card.
that?
But those are two separate issues. Would it be historic for a woman to be president?
Sure.
Of course it would.
But that doesn't mean
you're not part of the establishment. It's hard to imagine
That is
someone.
like the Queen of England saying she's not part of the establishment because she's a woman.
She was great, though. She was unbelievably prepared. I actually thought Bernie was going to do terribly in this debate. I thought she was going to kill him. I really did. And he.
It was a great debate.
He was incredible. When he said Wall Street equals fraud, and I was like, you can't say that.
By the
Now
way,
you've gone too far. And then he says, starts to explain it, and he made perfect sense. He got applause from the audience. And the big picture on this speech issue is you've got the big banks, you got large sums of money, huge sums of money being paid to Hillary Clinton, while people who are the voters, the middle class, are still not being bailed
right, so-
out. That's what they feel like.
And by the way,
too
is
long.
term a sports analogies, because I know you love them? This was Ollie Frazier.
It was amazing.
This was an amazing,
good.
amazing.